Welcome back to episode 159 of Tall Boy Radio. We've got another guest for you this week, a guest who is a little bit of a star of the internet in her own way herself. But before we do that, we need to raise a toast and wish ourselves a happy third birthday. Yeah, 3 years of Tall Boy Radio. What do you make of that, Gazza?
Yeah, I said it when we were 2 years old. I wasn't quite so sure we'd have made it to 2, and I definitely wasn't sure we'd make it to 3. So here's looking forward to 4 and beyond, I suppose.
Indeed. So by year 3, we've made it now into the top 10% listed podcasts globally for listeners. I'm pretty pleased with that. Dave, what can we expect from the next 12 months?
More of the same. And I know you guys keep going on about you want to do more outside broadcasts. And of course, a world record or 2 thrown in for good measure. But, 3 years
Why the devil not?
3 years is a pretty testament, particularly for you, as to stick to something for so long is pretty impressive.
It's very much against my character. So we are joined by Jessica Fox, who is a star of the internet, if you will, also known as Barbie Fett. Did you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
I get naked on camera for a living. That's pretty much it, really. That and play computer games quite a bit online with all my little nerd friends.
Ah, right. That's interesting.
Okay.
And is that what led you into like the cam girl stuff?
It's what made me aware of it being around on the internet, obviously spending so much time on the internet playing games. But it was actually... It was my ex-boyfriend's idea.
Was it really?
We were watching Trisha, I think it was, something like that back in the day. And there was a girl on there saying, I make such and such an amount on Babe Station. And he was like, you'd be brilliant at that. I was like, I can't do that. My dad watches Babe Station. So
Digging him out already, come on.
Yeah, I didn't want my dad finding me. But then, so I looked online, found a few sites. I thought, I'll sign up, see if it's all right. Got signed up, did a week of it, and I was just like, this is brilliant. And I thought, it can't actually be real. Went to the bank, got the money out, and I was like, it's actually real. I've actually just earned money for... I don't think I even took my clothes off in the first week. I just sat and played Hangman.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I've read this, and there are a number of people who do keep their clothes on now. We do on TBR. We generally do. It's not fair to our listeners and viewers for us to do otherwise. But yeah, there are plenty that do, and that amazed me. So a couple of years ago, there was all this fuss about OnlyFans, and they sort of said that they were going to get rid of any X-rated content on their site. And I was like, I didn't even know there was anything on there that wasn't X-rated. It came as a massive shock to me.
Yeah, no, it's mainly X-rated. When all that happened, I'm pretty sure it was a scam of some sort, because the guy who part owns it also owns like another big site that isn't getting as much attention now. So I'm pretty sure he did that just to put them in the news.
Oh, right.
And it was all to do with the payment processors not wanting to be aligned with adult content. So like MasterCard and everything stopped supporting any kind of adult payment processors and things like that. After the big Pornhub scandal, where they had stuff on there that was not with any kind of cam site and stuff, you have to sign up, you have to do an age verification form and a consent form. And with Pornhub being a tube site, people were just uploading other people's content, and then that gets into the realms of content that's on there without consent and without age verification. And so that's why MasterCard pulled out of that until they pulled all those videos. So now everything's consensual through there, which is the only tube site that is.
Oh, wow. Well, that's quite interesting, isn't it? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, the adult industry.
Yeah, well, it is, though, to be honest with you.
In a way, yeah.
No, it is, because there's a side of it that we're probably a little bit ignorant to. Do you know what I mean? Whether whether you're a viewer or you're not a viewer, or however it works, there's certainly the goings on like under there, the underbelly of it that you're unaware of. And like you say, probably a fantastic little bit of PR that the guy, that it was all over the internet, that this is what's happening. A load of people were like, what? There's stuff on there that isn't X-rated. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely mind blowing. So taking you back then to when you started off your journey, then So your first couple of videos, tell us about that experience. Tell us about, you know, the nerves and what have you. Tell us about how it went.
Oh, it was terrifying. Especially, I think I had quite a few beers the first time I got on camera. Like I say, I didn't take my clothes off for like about a week, and then I started to feel a little bit more comfortable because people are strangely really, really friendly online. Like, it's not as seedy and horrible as people seem to think it is. I think if it was less taboo, it'd be a safer industry for a start, and you wouldn't have people being mean, but they are quite friendly, most of the people, because they're paying you money to see you, so they obviously like you, so they're not going to be calling you terrible names unless they're paying for that.
Yeah, I guess there's that side of it as well.
And have you sort of experienced that then, in terms of, I'm making a massively broad assumption that you probably have, in terms of, have people been sort of verbally abusive to you and you didn't want that, and you've had to shut down conversations and this, that, and the other, and is that like a daily, a weekly thing? Is it, you know, how often would you be at the sort of the brunt of sort of verbal abuse as such?
It's mainly on like the sites where you have a free chat and then you pay to go private. On those ones, you've got like 3 different levels of members. Like, you've got people who have paid for tokens, and then you've got people who have registered with the site, like signed up with an email but not bought anything yet. And then you've got the free people, with the people who just can go anywhere, can just go on the internet and go onto your video stream. They're the ones that usually give you abuse, because they're not like a long-term member of the site or anything. And then, but you can turn off the comments from them, and you can turn off the comments from the next level ones as well, if they're giving you too much stick. And so at first I didn't used to do that, because I'd be like, everyone's welcome, everyone can talk here. And then I just got too fed up with them, and I was like, no, you can go away, because you get the people just basically saying feet please and things like that constantly without putting any money in.
That's mad.
So when you are chatting to them, or is it a combination of you chatting to them sort of via video cam, or is it keyboard? Is it a combination of both?
I just talk to them through the camera. Some people, if they've not got the volume on, want you to type, but I'll only do that if they're paying for my time, because I'm not going to sit and chat in a room where I can talk to people and then have to type, just so that the missuses don't hear them. PC.
Right.
Yeah, or they're on a train or something.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So just sort of taking you back to, I say, when you first sort of started. Obviously, the attraction was with the financial side of it. I mean, how did you? I suppose the elephant in the room. How did your sort of friends, family take it, in terms of, once you told them and started to explain what it was that you were getting yourself into? How did that sort of work, conversationally wise?
Well, I'm a little bit of a show off, and a little bit of a attention seeker, which is obviously why I'm in the job. So I wasn't, but I'm also one of them who just kind of blurts out the truth all the time. So I could never have hid from anybody. I was just like, yeah, that's what I do for a living. Everybody in the pub knows. All my family knows. My dad like just tells people in the pub, yeah, she gets her tits out on the internet for a living.
Do you think that makes it a lot easier than, because I would imagine that there's a lot of people that do this that try and keep it a complete secret.
Yeah, I think I'd find that really difficult, because it's like having the 2 identities and stuff. I'd find it really difficult to not give away any of my actual details and information, because I just talk too much sometimes. So that's the worst bit for me, is keeping my actual identity separate to my cam identity. But not so much the other way around, because I obviously don't care if people know what I do.
No, that's good. That's good. I've got to ask a question, because I do see, you know, obviously I've done a little bit of research for this. One of the more fun episodes to research, I'll be very honest. So yeah, foot fetishes. Now, when we talk about foot fetishes, I have to make it very, very clear. I am somewhat the opposite. I am a foot phobic. I cannot look at feet. I've got a real issue with even my own feet. I can't even bear to look at even my wife's feet. They just really, They're not particularly unpleasant at her feet, but you know, they just really, really bother me. What is the deal with guys and feet? I don't get it.
One of the most like common fetishes that I get all the time. Foot fetish. It's, I don't know. I'd say at least 1 in 4 or 5 people have got a foot fetish. I reckon.
Wow.
From the numbers I've seen, anyway.
That's absolutely mad. We have a friend in Oklahoma who's he does a bit of photography in his spare time. Shana McShine, we'll give him a shout out. Everybody knows Shana, God bless him. And you know, so he takes photographs of people as well as scenery. And one of the most common things he gets asked for is, "Can you come and take pictures of my feet?" And he's like, "I can't because they really." He's the same as me. He doesn't like them.
Yeah.
So I can't because I don't really know what people get out of it. So I can't take a photograph that people are going to enjoy because I have no idea what it is that people enjoy about it.
Yeah. And it's dead easy to just take a picture of your feet, to be fair. Like,
well, it is. Yeah, it is. I guess. Yeah. No,
they're not really that fussy. Honestly, they don't need it lit properly or anything. They're just, feet.
Oh, wow.
That's weird to me. I mean, feet are just feet. They're neither a turn on nor they're a turn off. They're just feet.
Yeah.
Something you walk on.
Body part. I don't understand it myself, but.
Yeah. But if someone's going to pay you money, then hey ho.
Yeah, they like to pay for me socks. That's a common one.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
literally will pay for you to send them your socks.
Yeah, between 10 and 20 quid a pair. So I'll go and buy, I'll just go to Primark and buy a pack of 5 socks, or it's 7 socks, I think, for 2 quid. And then I'll keep them for 6 months, wear them every so often, then wear them on the day I'm going to post them out, and then send them a picture of them, sell them, send them out. So I never really have to buy socks for myself because I'm kind of just investing.
What do people get you at Christmas?
Can you write that off as a business expense?
Yeah.
Just write that off. It's a business expense. Socks.
Oh yeah.
That's mad.
On that point, Gaz just said business expense. Is this an income that you have to declare? I mean, do you have this a full-time job? Do you have another job?
I'm training to be a gas engineer as well, only because I just want to do something different now.
Okay.
I've done it for, I don't know, so many years now, over 10 years, and I'm just like, I love it. I still love it, but I know that I'm going to get to a point where I don't. So I want to go into do. And it is it's a difficult job to kind of, if I wanted to buy my own house, I can't. My income changes so much that it's not classed as a stable income.
Yeah.
So it's I do love it,
so
but I
you
need
said you've been
something more secure.
So you mentioned that you've been doing it for a number of years. Then, sort of how often are you online? Is it a daily thing? Is it sort of 2 or 3 times a week? How often would you put sort of content out there as such, or is it? Do you do? Is it a live cam that people sort of subscribe to and therefore view, or is it sort of video content that they can then subscribe to and then download?
I do.
Or is it a combination of both?
I do live cam. I don't do it as much at the moment. I've been moving house and stuff, so it's just been a bit of a slow 6 months with it. So, but I used to cam about 3 or 4 times a week for about 2 hours a day, and then make videos one day of the week and then post them on loads of different clip sites. And then I've got OnlyFans, which I upload to, but that's been a bit slow for the last month because I've just been a bit busy. But it's one of them where you can always go back to it and it's always there, and there's already so much content on there that it's fine to leave it for a little bit before I go back to it.
And in terms of like sort of your videos, then do you get sort of requests for certain types, certain scenarios, certain clothing, or is it just you that thinks, oh, I'll post something in this or I'll post something in that, or do you get a sort of repeat requests for various things?
Yeah, I get requests for certain videos, and then I'll ask them if they want it to be exclusively made for them, or if I can then reshare that and put it on clip sites if it's a certain fetish.
Yeah.
But some of them want me to say the name, which then means I can't resell that further.
Yeah.
Okay. So then they pay extra if it's an exclusive. But if it's just a custom that's made for them, but I can then resell, it's at a set price and they pay less for it.
Okay.
So is it a bit like in terms of distributing? You mentioned multiple clip sites. Is that a bit like Spotify, where you can distribute it everywhere, and each time it gets played, you earn some money?
They buy it, so it goes on a clip site, and it's at $5 or $6 for a clip. They'll buy it, and then that goes into the bank on that site, and they have to go around and check each site, check what's in each one of them, and then withdraw it all.
Okay.
How many of those sites do you actually distribute through?
Oh, probably about 10, 11, 12, something like that. There's quite a few. They're all on my Twitter and stuff, every single one of them that I'm on. Well, the ones that I can remember. I'm pretty sure there's probably some that I've later forgotten about, that I've put stuff on there and there's money sat in there, but I'll find it.
And so in terms of so what would happen? So would each of those sites then effectively hold a balance, and it's you personally then has to just effectively log in, check your balance, and then sort of bank transfer or whatever into your own account? Is that how that works then? So they just basically your balance just sits there until you decide to withdraw it.
Yeah, exactly that. Okay. But there's a percentage when you sell the video. It'll be something like, with clip sites, it's usually about 20-30%. With live streaming, when they're paying through that, it's most sites about 50-60% they take off you.
Oh wow!
Really?
Yeah. Wow. It's for because they're bringing the traffic in and pushing the site and things like that.
Yeah, I guess. Guys, you're getting deep down into the details here. You planning on a side project for TBR or what?
Well, no, I'm just thinking that there seems to be a bit of money that could be made. I'm just thinking, it's like handling. There has to be some sort of facility whereby it almost like, not quite like a PayPal, but you're almost like each of your accounts goes into one account, and then that automatically at the end of each month or at some point each month gets transferred to you. There has to be a system where it's much easier than you having to physically go to each of those sites.
What you can do is go under a studio to do that, and then they'll take, say, 5% out of it, but they'll put all their sites through theirs, and it'll get paid into that.
Oh, okay, right, okay, yeah.
I have got a studio for a couple of the sites that I work on, but it doesn't cover all of them because I'm on so many different ones.
Just thinking it's a day's job, just checking in, making sure you're getting paid. Sure, there's an easy way to get it done.
It's not great when you're so disorganized like I am.
I tell you,
all over the place.
I tell you what, though, we get a cam girl on Tallboy Radio, and Gaz wants to talk about financial planning.
Well, it's important. It's important. You got to look after your future.
No, I'm with you there, dude. I'm with you there. So going back to what you said earlier, so when Gaz was asking there about harsh comments and what have you, and there is an attitude towards sex and nudity in the UK, especially, that is very different to how it is. On mainland Europe. I mean, if you go the likes of the Dutch, in Amsterdam and what have you, and the French and the Germans, have got a very different approach to nudity, haven't they? What is it about us Brits that get all prim and proper about it?
Stiff upper lip about it.
Yeah. Why do we? I don't get it.
It's strange because behind closed doors, people aren't like that. Because people will say, "Oh no, I don't watch porn." And everybody watches porn. Most people. I won't say everybody. Most people watch porn. So, but for some reason, we don't like to talk about it. And talking about it is the way that we're going to make it safer. We're going to make it better for everybody involved in it. And that's the only way we're going to get rid of things like sex trafficking, child porn, that kind of thing. Because if you make it not taboo, the industry, then it's not going to be hidden in the secret dark places, because there won't be dark places because we're talking about it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
With what you do, is there like real sort of dangers? I mean, presumably there are young people that get dragged into it and the grooming and that side. But once you're an adult, and assuming you're of good mental standing, you're not vulnerable in that sense. Are there dangers, or is it pretty safe because you're always, nobody knows where you are? Like anyone watching would have no idea where you actually are. So is that safe, or are there still dangers?
It makes you feel a lot safer. Yeah. The fact that it's online and I exist only on the internet, I love that side of it. You do get, unfortunately, people that try and dox you all the time, find out your address, find out your name, find out and like I say, I talk too much, so sometimes I've almost slipped up with my name and things like that. But oops, because it's just a habit of being a chatty person. But
does Adam need to edit your name out from the intro then?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm going to tell you now, I don't believe that's her real name, because I'll tell you this now. When I started researching Jessica Fox on the internet, there was a lot to sift through, and there's a lot in that industry as well to sift through as well. Don't get me wrong, I didn't have a problem doing it, but yeah, I'm going to suggest, and I'm not going to delve down too deep, but that probably isn't your real name, and please, at this point, don't disclose it.
No, I won't.
No, don't. Gaz has given out his address on here before, twice.
Have I?
Yeah, twice.
Okay. Well, nothing bad's happened, so I'm not going to tell you again, by the way. So.
No. You go back and listen to all episodes. Bear in mind, there's only 4 houses on his street. It's not that hard to work out which one he lives at.
And you're frequently saying he lives across the road from you, so that's not great for you either.
Yeah, Gaz. Stitching me up, pal.
Sorry, flipping heck, GDPR and all that, and like, oh my, yeah, okay, I'll stop now.
Yeah, I don't think GDPR accounts when you release it yourself, though, dude. So yeah,
maybe not.
So how, just out of interest though, going back to how do we start to have that conversation? How and when does it start? You know what I mean? Because that's the other thing. When you talk about, sex education in schools and what that looks like, certainly without giving away our ages, it was probably very, very different back in our day than it even is today. And I don't, my daughter is 6, and I dread to think what it is that she's going to be learning and how she relates it back when she comes home, because gee whiz, she's another one who's quite happy to share vocally her opinions on stuff and everything. So what age do we start talking about it? And what is the sort of stuff do we talk about? Where do we draw the line? That's the real question, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we need to kind of talk about it to teenagers. Obviously not going too much into it, but by the time you're a teenager, you are looking online at things. We can't, they shouldn't be, because they're not legally allowed to. And they do block them off a lot of sites, but I think we do need to have that conversation with teenagers, because if we're having the conversation about them having sex, we need to have the conversation about them watching porn, and they need to know it's not a bad thing to do. Yeah, I don't think it's horrendous. Maybe too much of it, yeah. And then if we talked about it more, we'd be able to say if you watch too much porn, it's bad, rather than just going all porn's bad. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's, I think it's the same with alcohol. It's the same with smoking. It's the same with online gambling. It's, these things in moderation can be enjoyed. And me preaching about moderation with alcohol is fairly ironic, the amount of beers I get through on this podcast. So yeah.
I think the society in general, though, has a way to go on things, even like menopause. That's a big thing at the moment, that is just starting to become a sort of normalized topic that you can talk about. Periods for young people and females in general, that again is just starting to get more mainstream and more normalized. You hear football teams changing the color of their shorts, and it's an open thing. And I coach girls football and take an interest in the female football. And those, as coaches, you're told that even if you're a male coach, those conversations, obviously involving the parents, but you need to be able to have those conversations. They need to be normal. When girls are going through puberty, they're having periods, they need to be able to say, look, I'm on my period. I can't perhaps do the full training session. I'm lacking energy. My motivation's not right. And depending on where they are with the cycle, it affects them in different ways. And that is miles away from where that needs to be. So porn is just, it's, if you think that's even further away, it's just
one of them one step at a time things, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so many things that just need to be talked about more, just because they are just normal stuff in life.
Yeah, no, I think you have to look at, and there's lots of sort of previously were taboo subjects. So you would look at the LGBTQ community and the conversations around that, and that's just starting to now be slightly more mainstream in terms of people are slightly more open to conversations but you would go back 20 years, 30 years, and that was a real taboo sort of subject, and people were alienated for how they felt and this, that, and the other. And I suppose, and I hope in a way that we get to a point it should happen now really, but within a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line, that actually what was previously perceived to be a little bit of a taboo subject, actually you can have open conversations. And I agree that I think educating the the sort of the teenage generation, just in terms of, you know, when we were growing up, the internet wasn't around. You know, I'm 49 years old. You know, it wasn't around. It's been brand new. So I've sort of lived through the advancement of the internet and what you can see. And don't get me wrong, you know, the internet's a fantastic place and it's a fantastic learning tool. It's a fantastic educational tool. You can have lots of enjoyment on the internet, but there is a darker side to it. And I think you need to educate people about that. And the more education we can give, the more informed people are about the choices that they make. And that goes not just for porn, that goes across society as a whole. You know, the more we can inform people and the more we can give people the pros and the cons, the more that they're allowed to then make their own choice, but it's informed choices as opposed to choices that maybe are forced upon them. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I absolutely agree with you. I think the more conversations you can have, the better it is.
Definitely, it brings lots more to light then. It's just, it needs to be as transparent as it can be, this industry. Otherwise people get hurt in it. You know what I mean? That's why like consent on porn sets and things like that, that's now become a big like talking point after the whole James Dean thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So just taking it back a little bit and changing topics. So something just struck me then. There's something you said earlier as to how you first got into that. That it was an ex-boyfriend that encouraged you to do it, or first planted the idea in your head. How has it affected having relationships? Just out of interest.
Some people are quite funny about it. There has been times when guys have said, no, I won't go anywhere near because you do what you do and too many people know about it, and like if they've got children then they worry about that. So but I'd say, and then so you do get the guys who are just like, oh, that means you're dirty, or this means that it's, but then most people are quite open to it. I think I get more stick off women, unfortunately, still.
Have you had?
But then you also get guys who think, oh, she does that, she must be a right goer, and you know what I mean. That's.
Have you had friends or family have basically distanced themselves from you because of what you do?
Not so much really, actually. None of my family have. One of my family turned around once and said, why does she have to do that? Like, I don't have to do it. I want to do it. I enjoy doing it. So it's always that kind of opinion that I've been forced into it some way.
Yeah.
Because they think like you wouldn't want to do it just off your own back.
Well, I'll be honest. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's one of those things. Probably one of those Brits is probably a little bit too prudish to do it myself. But I guess it is a mainly sort of female-orientated industry, isn't it? There's no. I know there are dudes that do it. I stumbled across a few. Didn't click on their sites. God bless them. You know, they do what they do. I don't have to watch it. But you know, do you know many guys that do that kind of thing?
I know one guy who's just started doing it only because he's going out with a girl who also already does it.
Right.
And he does my tattoos.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's my tattoo artist. So he was telling me like he's getting into it. I was like, yeah, good, do it, get it done. But men don't tend to earn anywhere near as much because, well, most men send, not most, I won't say most. Some men send pictures of it for free all the time. So the market is saturated with dick pics. So women aren't going to pay for it.
Hey, we
only need to go on a dating site and talk to someone, and 2 seconds later you've got a dick pic. So I'm not going to pay for it, are we?
You don't even have to be on a dating site. We've had him here at Tallboy Radio, would you believe?
Have you?
Yeah, off a guy who looked like Wagner off the X Factor as well. God bless him.
Oh no.
I know. Don't get me wrong. You know, I didn't message him back, but if that's what he wants to do with his time, bless him. What it is about three nearly 50-year-old blokes that gets him going, I don't know.
Yeah, they get a thrill from just people seeing it.
Yeah.
I get people messaging me them, and then they pay for me to rate it.
Really?
To rate it? Oh, wow,
yeah, okay. Just a dick rating. They send me a picture, send me some money, and I'll rate the dick. 1 out of 10.
So what? Do you ever say send me another $5 and I'll have a rating from a different angle?
Yeah.
Could do that, yeah.
I mean that's two odd things, that one and the socks. Are there other things like that that would seem a bit odd that you get paid to do?
Loads. I get loads of fetish and kink guys. I get giantess fetish a lot because I'm 6 foot. I don't know why that means that I'm a giant, because I'm probably about a couple of inches taller than them. It then makes me a giant. But yeah, they make me stand against the door and tell them how short they are and that I could stand on them. I get small dick humiliation guys who I have to shout at them, tell them how small and how shit the dick is. That's fun. That's always good on a day where I've had shit customers all day. I'm like, I just want to call someone, give them shit about that.
Proper, yeah, just fence. Literally, just like, you're having it now. Yeah.
Yeah, and they love it. So
and
then I get a good rating and they come back for me to shout at the dick some more.
I'm doing something wrong. People have been doing that to me for free. I've not been paying them.
Yeah, the giantess fetish thing. I've had to buy a little toy farm and a little Eiffel Tower and put them on the floor and put my camera on the floor and kick it all over, pretend I'm a giant. Eat jelly babies and pretend they're the jelly babies. Little toy cars, roll them all up my arms and pretend they're in the car.
Tell you what.
Do you have are some of these people regulars?
I've got a few regulars. I've got one regular I've had for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It is mad.
I've just got visions of was it like Chewits or something where they were trampling on that they advert back in the day, and it's like trampling over a city, this great big
There'd have been loads of people getting off for that.
Really?
Yeah. It's a massive fetish. That's why, when the last Resident Evil game came out, the big vampire lady, and everybody was like simping for her on the internet because she's a giant.
Simping.
Wow.
What's simping?
Yeah. What's simping? Simping is like when you're kind of obsessed with someone and you just like little heart eyes over them, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like you'll do anything for them. You'll give them loads of money. That's what simps are. Okay. I can't believe you've never heard the term simping.
I must admit, I've never heard that phrase. I'm also missing a trick. I'm missing a trick here because I'm 6'5".
You're 6 foot. I was going to say,
I could be making some money.
Come on.
Well, I'm not so sure, dude. The beer belly might have put a few off. I don't know.
I'm sure there's a fetish out there for beer bellies, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Gee whiz, I'm not sure I want to explore it though.
Because there's fetishes for everything: yawning, sneezing, laughing, crying, farting.
Really? And do you get approached over this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I constantly getting loads of different ones. Like there was one guy who I had to get me. I got my trainer, and he wanted to see one side of it, and then the other side of it, and then inside, and then underneath, and then I had to get the other trainer and do exactly the same thing.
What?
And I had to do that with all the trainers in my wardrobe.
And is that with your clothes on or your clothes off?
Clothes on.
Really?
One guy had to pinch my nose and stroke there, and then he paid for me to watch his camera. And you get them little plastic swimming clips.
Yeah.
He had a metal one on, and he was just going to town on himself.
Right. Okay.
That was a strange one.
I imagine the shoe guy's banned from JJB. That's why he has to go to the internet.
It was only trainers he wanted to see. No heels, nothing, just trainers.
Wow.
Do you think how much of that is just a female showing the trainers, or could it be anybody? I mean, thinking Adam again. If Adam said, "I'll show you trainers," do you think he'd have paid Adam? Is it the trainers, or was it you, or was it both?
I think some of them seek out people that they fancy to do it. I think that's what it is, because you go through the site and you'll see loads of different people on the site, and you'll pick who you want to pay for it, or like they'll pick who they want to send a message for a custom video to. And a lot of the time, it's somebody who looks like somebody they know.
Yeah.
You get that, so it looks like the neighbour, or they look like, I hate to say it, one of the family members. That's a horrendous trend at the minute.
Is it really?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So just going back to, say, and without going into sort of too much detail? Or there's some, I'm sort of making an assumption that there are some things that you will have been either asked to do in terms of a fetish that you've refused to do. How often do you get? How do you get somebody, if you refuse to do it, to then, I suppose, how do you let them down gently, or do you just say, no, I'm not doing that? You can.
I just say I don't do that fetish, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay.
I don't kink shame anybody for whatever their fetish is, as long as they're not hurting anybody else.
Yeah.
Go ahead with it.
Yeah.
It's as long as there's consent on both sides and it's not hurting anybody. Yeah. Then all fetishes are fair game, I'd say.
Yeah.
Although maybe you could argue, I suppose, if it's consensual, but there might be pain on one person or another in terms of either a dominatrix or whatever it may be. But as long as it's consensual.
Yeah, that's it. There's consent there. With a dominatrix and things like that, there's always like a contract beforehand. Same with financial domination, where you get someone to send you money. You basically bribe them. You'll say, I'm going to send your wife this if you don't send me such an amount of money. And they get off on that. But you have a contract in place beforehand where
it says you got to send it back.
It's like, no, you don't send it back. You keep it still. But there's only like certain amounts that you're allowed to take from them, and certain people you're allowed to contact if they don't. But they always do pay, so you don't have to anyway. But they'll give like their passwords to things so that you can basically ruin their life if they don't pay you, and they get off on that. But you don't actually ever go through with ruining the life, because that's not the job. Do you know what I mean?
No.
They're paying to be, in effect, genuinely blackmailed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if they and they run the risk of, if they piss you off or they don't pay, you could actually go through.
You can only do that with a sex worker you trust, because obviously you could get somebody who would just turn on and ruin your life.
Yeah.
But if you're a proper sex worker, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. I find that utterly bizarre, because I think part of the reason why a lot of it is so secretive is that fear about other people finding out. But I guess some people obviously get off on that fear.
Yeah. Well, they've got a share button on Pornhub. I don't know what that's about. Really? I don't know who's going to be watching a porn and go, oh, I share this with all of Facebook. My Aunt Margaret wants to see it.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, yeah. I'm just trying to get my head around the fact that somebody will pay you to be in a position where you can actually then blackmail them. I just find that so weird but fascinating, that and then the human mind is just a fascinating thing, but that just doesn't compute to me.
That's my favourite thing about fetishes and kinks and stuff. It's like the psychology behind it all is just so interesting. I ask people sometimes, like, how did you find out you like this fetish? And it's usually something way back in the childhood where they go, oh, I remember seeing this and I got hard over it. And so
that's it.
It's fascinating though.
There was an old detective magazine in the States, and it was blamed for a lot of serial killers, because they used to put like pictures of very sexy women on the front, obviously in various compromised positions with a guy with a knife over the top of them, because they were telling the story of murder, but they were sort of sexualizing it as well. And just about every serial killer in the States has come across, pardon the phrase, this magazine in his time. And it was, it was, I forget the name of the magazine, but it has been attributed to a lot of that. So it's mad. I tell you what, I find that utterly mind-blowing. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to think I'm pretty open-minded, but I'm feeling a little bit shocked now, and terribly innocent as well. I'm going to be honest with you, because it's not stuff that I've experienced in my life. But wow, that is utterly crazy. So, sorry, go on, Gus.
No, I was just going to ask, a lot of the things that you've said is that you'll do sort of streaming and you'll do videos and stuff. Do you do sort of videos and stream or with other people? Is it just solo? Have you been approached to do either sort of with sort of one person, two people, three other people? Is that something you would do? Have you been asked to do? Have you refused it?
I've been asked a few times, but I'm quite shy, So like people in real life, unless they're in my local pub where I go in all the time, I'm a nervous little wreck around them. So I've not branched out into that because it's too nerve-wracking, the idea of it for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if it was somebody I didn't fancy, I wouldn't be able to even pretend to act, kind of thing.
Yeah. It just feels really awkward and horrible, I suppose, and then that just defeats the whole objective. Then
for anybody, then.
Yeah.
But I've done content before with an ex-partner, and then he had to sign forms and things like that as well. That's another awkward thing about it. They have to have verification for everything, so they have to have the age verification. So if I said to someone, "Oh, do you want to film this? I'll give you a blowjob and I'll put it on OnlyFans." It's like, but sign this form and then this form first, please.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of that, then is it go down the route of like sort of the revenge porn type thing? So you would have to, it's that type of, you're going to have to sign this just in case if I video it, then we break up and we go through this horrible breakup that you're not going to then post it here, there, and everywhere type thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what that Stephen Bear just got done for, didn't he? Because he had cameras outside his house and filmed the girl while they were having sex, and then put it on his OnlyFans. And then as soon as they were aware of it, it got taken down straight away, obviously, because they've not got consent and verification from her.
Yeah.
But it is classed as revenge porn now. You can get sentenced for because it's illegal. It wasn't before, but I'm glad
now
that
for the legislation. It's only sort of relatively recently, hasn't it, that I think the legislation's come in. So
yeah, it's the last few years.
Yeah.
Is that the one where they either have or they're looking to change? Because are they looking to change, or they just changed it because either before or they want to change it from? It was you had to prove the intent to cause harm before you could be prosecuted, and they're looking to change it so that you don't have to prove intent. If you release it without their permission and it causes harm, then you can be found guilty.
Yeah.
Which I think is right. These videos are personal, and just because you might have filmed it on your camera, it's not the same as, people always talk about taking photographs in a public space. You take a picture of a town centre, you can do what you want with it because it's a public space. This isn't the same. It's a completely different ballpark of personal stuff going on. So
it all boils down to consent at the end of the day. It's like whatever if you consent to it, you're consenting to it at the time of them taking it, but you're not consenting to it them going further or anything like that. So it's definitely, the blame should not be placed on the person who's the victim of that, because they're not consenting for it to go further. Just like you can consent to kissing someone but not consent to sleeping with them. It's like the two different things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, it's one of the most reassuring things I've heard tonight, really, is the fact that there is that verification, that there is the consent, and there is just the paperwork that surrounds it. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? When you're getting someone to sign a document saying they're going to get a blow, it probably takes a little bit of a shine off of it for him for that moment. But at the same time, I think it is really, really reassuring that it is that heavily regulated, because it's one of those things you always fear that it could be an industry that just pays lip service to it, if you'll pardon the pun. That it is just something that, they say, yeah, we're serious about this, but then don't actually do anything about it. And I guess
in the last 10 years, it's gone so serious with it. It's so strict with your ID has to be like passport or driving license. It can't be. Back when I started, I went and got a little 10 quid ID. I can't remember what it was. It was not a proper. They wouldn't recognise it in a pub kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was able to sign up with that. Whereas now it's got to be legitimate kind of ID, which is reassuring.
What are the sort of sanctions or the consequences? Is it just a case of if you haven't got the necessary ID or paperwork, A, you can't work in the industry, or B, because obviously there's no paperwork or sort of sanctions for the people that subscribe to these channels and subscribe to them, but in terms of the people that are working for them, what would be the sanctions in terms of if they didn't provide the paperwork? Would it literally just be you can't come and work for us, or
you wouldn't sign up to the site. If you had anything on the site already, everything would be taken down.
And would you share that with other sites then? If somebody had tried to do that without the necessary paperwork or whatever, would that be shared across the sites, or is it just a case of, well, we're going to look after our own, and if that person wants to go to a different site and try their luck with a different site, then so be it, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think they'd still be able to go to other sites, because the sites don't really communicate with each other very much.
Yeah.
There's quite a big rivalry between them. Like, you're not allowed to mention other sites on certain sites.
Yeah.
There's like,
because that brings, I suppose that makes me think. You were talking about an industry, like, I can't believe we've got a camp go along to talk about legislation. I can't believe I've got
you are
to legislation. I know I got, but it talks, in terms of just trying to have those conversations and make it, I suppose, more non-taboo. Then you need an industry-wide acknowledgement that these things are in place and these safeguarding things are in place. It's not just one or two sites, it's an industry-wide thing, because otherwise they then become, I say, the dark web and the seedier side. Whereas if it is open, it is transparent, then actually, if those people that want it's available, and it goes back to those conversations again, doesn't it? That the more conversations we can have, the better it'll be.
Yeah.
And to me, it makes sense that one site will talk to another. Yeah.
Because the tube sites don't have any kind of verification, nothing. It's just, and people will steal videos. People will pay for videos and then steal them off. Somebody else will steal it off them, and they'll put it on certain sites, and it's just there on that site, and you don't know if that person's of age or anything, because
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I suppose that goes back to what I was saying about if different sites and different organisations or whatever talk to each other, and there is that commonality, that would actually stop that type of thing happening, because the content wouldn't be shared necessarily. I mean, I don't know, I might be being a bit naive and a bit too simplistic about that, but if all of the different sites, and whether it's streaming or downloadable of the content, if they all talk to each other, it then becomes a bit more, the whole industry becomes a bit more transparent, I suppose, which is what you guys want, really.
Yeah, the problem is, though, the big sites like that really don't care about
they don't give a flight.
They don't really care about the workers that much. They do what they need to do to stay within the law and stay within the payment processes laws and things like that. They just want to make money.
Yeah,
that's unfortunately, it's capitalism with it, isn't it? Capitalism with it, isn't it? So it's unfortunate. Some pretend that they care, and like they kind of do, but not to the point where they'd go out of their way.
Right. Okay.
So slight change of topic then. Barbie Fett. Tell us about that name. That is a cool name. I'm not gonna lie. It's a big Star Wars fan.
That is a cool name. I'll be honest with you. When I saw it, I was like, okay, I like that.
I'm a big nerd. Hence, I've got Boba Fett on my arm.
Yeah. See, you a big Star Wars fan as well, then, yeah?
Yeah. Huge Star. I've got lightsabers on my fingers.
Nice. No, so I'm going to ask a question about the elephant in the room then. So, Phantom Menace, it's got to be the worst film ever, hasn't it, surely?
Oh, it's horrendous.
Yes, thank you.
But the new ones as well. The new ones are just... You could tell it was one director, then another director, and then the same... Like, you could tell because of how disjointed. It's like they were both going with their own ideas, and I hated it.
Yeah. Star Wars should have just been kept for 4, 5, and 6, effectively. It's
The Mandalorian's brilliant, though.
Yeah.
It's Western in space. It's like Firefly. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. I thought the Mandalorian was good. The Boba Fett was okay, not quite as good as the Mandalorian. But I like the character Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett's brilliant. I'm not sure. Was it Andor? Was that another series? I'm not. Yeah, I'm just.
There was a Han Solo one as well. They brought a Han Solo series out, didn't they?
Did I ever see that? I've never seen that. But yeah, it's got to be the original. Just A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. It literally just keep it at those three. Just done.
Yeah, the best films.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I can't believe Star Wars keeps that midnight.
But like you can't see in the background, but I've got an AT-AT poster and Star Wars Galaxy chart and the Millennium Falcon.
Beautiful.
Sorry,
I'm assuming that comes into some sort of fetish somewhere for some blokes.
That was going to be my question. That was going to be my question.
See, I was going to ask, is it Lego Millennium Falcon?
No, it's just a poster of the blueprint.
Surely there's got to be some guys that are asking you about, like, there's got to be some sort of Star Wars fetish going on there, surely.
Yeah, I've got the proper Darth Vader helmet, and I have dressed as Darth Vader for porn.
Brilliant.
Okay, that's mad.
I've obviously dressed as Princess Leia as well.
Oh yeah, I was about to say Princess Leia in the bikini has got to be a very popular one.
I think I did that like 12 years ago as well.
Wow.
Fair play.
I think one of my fans bought me the outfit actually.
Really supported the outfit and then said, "Can you wear this?" And then I'll pay. Wow, that's
okay. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because you can have like a wish list, and then they can't see where you live, and they can just buy you things and get sent to you.
That's a thing, is it really?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, the clogs are ticking again. I tell you what, we are. What the hell did we start a fucking podcast for? We should have been doing OnlyFans. But yeah, well, we shouldn't really. I don't think we get a lot of business. God bless us.
I think we don't quite have the right appeal, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, to be honest, I'm lucky. I'm married. I'm lucky. I found 2 women to marry me. Let's forget about the first divorce. But do you get bought more stuff than off your wish list?
Yeah, they like spoiling you sometimes, and I've had people send me money to go on holiday. I didn't buy my PC; that was bought for me by one of my regulars. A laptop I got before that was bought by them. Send me jewelry. I've got a PO box, so they send me just loads of different stuff.
So they would have paid for you to go on holiday, and then I'm assuming sort of request content for you in that location, maybe.
Some of them do, and some are just enjoy your holiday, and then I will send them stuff anyway though, because grateful they bought me a holiday.
Yeah, gotta keep it sweet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow, that's mind blowing. I just would never think that's a thing, but
I think I've bought one dildo ever, and I've got loads, and the rest of them they've bought. So.
See, that's the kind of thing I'd expect. But holidays, gee whiz.
I was expecting something of that, but yeah.
We're talking Wheel of Fortune stuff there, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? That's good.
What's the single biggest sort of monetary donation you've had?
Couple of grand.
Really?
Wow.
Are you serious? Yeah, I tell you what, dude, I'm starting to seriously think about it now. Yeah,
I'm not even funny. If you send me a message tomorrow saying we're going to stop the podcast, I'll be like, no, dude, we're not doing it.
If they're the only messages you get from me after I've had a few beers, be grateful. So just out of interest, then you said earlier that you're a little bit shy, and I get that, to be honest with you. We joke about it on here, and I've said it a few times. I'm actually a fairly shy individual myself. I'm quite outgoing because there's a camera in between us, and I find it easy to talk. But to meet you in real life, I am. But Gaz will tell you, he takes the piss out of me on a regular basis. We did an away episode where we were out in the field recording. I was too shy to go and ask people to come on the podcast, something that we've been doing for a while, and I do find it uncomfortable. So, do you ever do what you do now? Do you ever feel self-conscious?
Yeah, a lot actually. It's the thing is, because I've been doing it for so long, I know the angles that I need to be in. So people ask if I do enjoy it, but most of the time I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing so much as where the camera is and
what it might
how
look
it looks
like to
to
somebody
them.
else. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So it's not like as much, like I said, I do enjoy it, but it's not how other people see it. Oh, that'd be the best job in the world, doing that for 4 hours in a day. So yeah, but I'm working. It's not. Yeah, it's quite different.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Do you think you've used it in a way that's helped you overcome, or in a way to try and help you overcome your shyness? Do you think?
It's probably the thing that's improved my confidence the most. Because I think when I was younger, when I first started doing it, I did it because I was young and I had a good body. But I hate it. I had no confidence at all in my personality or anything else about myself. And it's only being on camera and having to talk to people constantly, and not the private set, like where they take you private, not that part, just the actual having to communicate with a room full of people and keep them entertained for hours at a time. That's the bit that's given me so much more confidence in talking to people. And because I used to stutter really bad. Not as much now. I still do occasionally.
That's interesting. Because we have a friend of ours who's been on the show before, Todd Orndorff, TO on the TC, another podcast based in Pennsylvania in the USA. And he used his podcast for that purpose, to get over his stutter. He had a really, really sort of, debilitating stutter. So he tells us he stutters very, very occasionally. But to meet him, you would say he is the most confident person you have ever come across in your life. So it's fascinating.
I get that in the pub all the time. People think I'm really, really confident because I'll just go and talk to anybody, and I'll go to the pub on my own. Like, I don't need to know anybody in there. I'll just walk into a pub. But that's because that's an environment I feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
And it's more of a front, because it's like if I talk to somebody, then I'm not going to be caught off guard by something they say to me straight away, because I've initiated the conversation, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So, we generally keep these things to around about an hour, but I'm sure we've still got another couple of questions. But one of mine would be, what's the biggest misconception then about what you do?
That we're forced into it, like I said earlier, that it's not something that I want to do, it's something that I have to do.
Yeah.
Not that we can't possibly enjoy it, that we can't possibly get confidence from it. It's empowering, really empowering.
Yeah. I sort of get that in a way. I think the perception is that, it's almost something that you have. It would never be a career choice. It's never a choice. It's always there must be hard ups. They've got to do it, or they've got to do this, and it's that sort of she used to have a good job, and now she hasn't. She's fallen on hard times, so she's got to go into doing this. And I suppose that must be a really frustrating sort of mindset, as such, that actually what you're trying to get out there and promote is that actually it is a choice, and that you did have a choice, and you continue to have a choice, and you choose to do it.
Yeah, even since I was like fairly young, I remember looking at like all the shelves with the women on the top of them and going, I want to do something like that. So it's something that I've had in my head that I've wanted to do for ages, because as a show off kind of thing, like that's the perfect outlet, especially like with the nerdy things and being able to dress up in nerdy cosplay and stuff like that. I get like the creative side out of it as well. And it means that I think people think that I'm going to be like that in a relationship, but I'm not. I'm fairly quiet. Like I'm not, well, I wouldn't say I'm innocent, but it doesn't make me promiscuous in a relationship. It doesn't mean that I'll go cheat on somebody because I need more sex than the normal person or something like that.
I suppose it goes back to that. Maybe that she does this for this, so she must be going, she must do this, she must do that, she must be into this, and it's that perception. You do that for a job, that's your living, you earn your income from doing that, and again I suppose the perception from a lot of people is that I'd love that. I'd love to go out there. I'd love to be there because I bet she does this, I bet she does that, and it's like actually that's not the case. And I don't know. I suppose you would find some women like yourself that would be relatively shy in terms of in a relationship sort of type thing. Because actually they're two separate things. That's your work life and this is your private life, and you keep them completely separate.
Yeah. And people think that you're the kind of person who's going to go and cheat on somebody because that's...
you want it all the time, you're going to get it all the time.
Because I'm not even working with anybody else anyway on camera or anything. So, but it's still a misconception that people think, oh yeah, she's just porn, so she's going to cheat. She's that kind of a person. that can make it difficult.
That's fascinating, isn't it? Really, that we all have opinions in our own mind, and you're always fighting a battle against prejudice, no matter what what you are, whether you do, whether what you do for a living, whether it's your appearance. It is absolutely mind blowing when you break it down like that. That we're all unique individuals, and we can't be judged on the people that we are. We're judged by what we do and what we look like. That's utterly bizarre, and yet we encounter it on a daily basis, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go, have you guys got any other questions?
I was just going to ask, you said you're into gaming as well. So what's your current favourite game that you're into?
I'm waiting on Hogwarts Legacy to come out on Friday. So I'm going to be getting that. I'm going to be playing that because big Harry Potter nerd as well.
One
of my favourite games, Portal, The Cake is a Lie. Halo, one of my favourite games. Final Fantasies.
Okay. Yeah. So it is. Yeah. Okay. So
I like Fortnite as well, but that's quite a childish game. But I do love it.
Yeah.
I'm hopeless at them. My lad plays them, but I'm hopeless at all of them. He asked me to play, and then he just basically says, "Dad, you're hopeless." So.
Mario Kart's about my level.
I went through Mario Kart. Yeah, I went through a phase of playing sort of Zelda quite a lot, but then got to a point and I was just like, I can't even for life remember even where I got to, but there was this bloody ocarina that you had to play at various points, and I was like, oh my god, it's just in my head. And so, and I sort of played. Yeah, was that what it was called?
That's the game.
Yeah. So. So I went through a phase of playing that sort of stuff for a while, and obviously the typical, as the male, always do like your football manager type games and stuff. But I suppose gaming wise, as you call it, that's what not really, not massively. I'll be honest. Like I say, Mario Kart's about gaming experience. Maybe I love Mario Kart. It's great.
You got any final questions, Gazza?
I haven't got any questions really. I just want to say a big thank you really, because I genuinely have been fascinated with this episode. Like just some of the misconceptions and just some of the fetishes that are out there. It's just to blow my mind in a way. But no real questions, dude. No, just a massive thank you for coming on and just chatting to us and sort of opening our eyes to sort of the experiences that you've had and I think, and it goes back to what we said sort of halfway through, maybe about just the choice and about the actually giving people informed choices and giving them the right information, either good or bad in a way, just a balanced argument. And yes, what you do, some people will like and some people won't, but giving you the balanced argument and allowing individuals and girls and blokes to make that choice if that's what they want to do, because we're all about freedom of speech and all of that sort of thing. So no questions, Ad, but just been fascinated by the whole episode.
Thank you very much for having me on.
No, it's been a pleasure. Before we let you go, we do just need to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. So we want to give a quick shout out to Ollie's Snacks. So if you want your olives, your nuts, your pretzels, your chocolate covered pretzels, head over to ollies-ollies.com. Use the promo code TALLBOYRADIO, all one word, all capitals, if you're based in the UK, and you will get 20% off your order. And with every order placed on their website, they donate a school meal to a child in need with the help of One Feeds Two. So finally, I've got to give one last shout out, and I apologise for this, but big shout out to Steve, who is Dave's brother, who has kindly supplied us with the beer from this episode. Now, Dave's brother, Steve, lives all the way over in Antioch, Illinois, and he's brought this beer over for us. So, Dave, what have you been drinking tonight?
Nice one. I've been drinking this alcohol-free beer because I'm not drinking at the moment, which my brother didn't bring all the way over from America for me. He bought me the same beer, but I'm not drinking it yet. Those pair couldn't wait. They just got stuck straight in. But no, I'm waiting before I drink mine.
Dude. So, I'll tell you the beers he's brought us then. So, we've got Four Hands Brewing Co. Chocolate milk. Oh, hang on, the camera's over here. Chocolate milk stout. Forgot I've got the different webcam on. Yeah, which was an absolute humdinger.
That was humdinger.
Yeah, the Dino S'mores by Off Color Brewing Company, which is a s'mores flavored imperial stout. It comes in at a mighty 10.5%.
That was a beauty, by the way, as well.
It is. And then finally, the pièce de résistance. Gazzy's idea about a mint in beer is a good idea. I'll tell you what, based on this, it absolutely is. This one is an absolute beaut. Nitro Thick Mint. It's a 10% Imperial Stout from Southern Tier Brewing Co. So absolutely.
See, I told you, dude. Mint and beer. I told you, it's the future.
This is amazing.
Have you just drank all three of them?
Yeah.
No,
I'm on the third one, yeah.
I've drank 2 and about that much. So
I haven't finished my one yet of my 0 alcohol, but I'm traditionally the lightweight from these anyway. So what are you drinking, Jessica?
I'm drinking a marble stout. Can you see that?
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So you're in league with those pair.
I like my stouts.
Yeah, well, you'll fit right in here. God bless you. I tell you what, Dave, we're taking your picture off the artwork. We changed our mind. You know what I mean?
Jessica's on.
Yeah, that's it. We'll stick Jessica on instead. So, in all seriousness, though, thank you very much for joining us. It has been a very interesting and educational journey. I guess when people like us reach out to yourself, I guess you always ask the question what it is that we're gonna ask you. You know, you don't know whether the kind of stuff because you don't know us. You don't know what type of people we are. So thank you very much for being open to it. And
No problem at all. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad because, like I say, probably. We like to find out a little bit about the other side of stuff that goes on in the world, and things that we don't know anything about. That's the kind of stuff that absolutely fascinates us. And the stuff that you've shared with us tonight, I found thoroughly interesting.
I love to let people in on it and educate them a little bit more on the industry and stuff. Because, like I say, we make it less taboo, and it's definitely going to help the industry.
Absolutely, and I think that's really, really important. And I hope that whoever clicks on our episode to listen to it just take something away like that, because it's really, really important. And it's something, when I'm trying to educate my children in years to come, like I say, they're very young at the moment, but it's something I'll definitely keep in mind. Like I say, I think I'm a fairly open-minded fellow, although some of the things I've heard tonight has been a little bit like, yowzers, yeah. I still won't be paying anybody to blackmail me. Let me make that very clear. If anybody wants to email me with that one, don't bother. So if you want, I will give out our socials. So if you want to find us, if you've enjoyed this episode, drop us a message. You can find us at Tallboy Radio on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and at Tallboy Radio Podcast on Instagram. You can reach out to us on tallboyradio.com and drop us an email. Let us know if you've enjoyed this episode. If there's anything more you want to know, and we'll forward on those questions to mail@tallboyradio.com. Jessica, would you like to share out your socials where people can find you if it's something they're interested in doing?
It's Barbie Fett UK on Twitter, or it's just Barbie Fett on OnlyFans.
There you go.
And all my other sites are on my Twitter.
Absolutely. So absolutely splendid. So, who wants to leave us with a final thought? As our guest, Jessica, we'll let you leave us first with your final thought.
Oh God, I don't like being put under pressure. That's my final thought.
There you go. Yeah.
As good as any.
Absolutely. Gaza.
I'd say just echo what I said a couple of minutes ago. Really, really enjoyed the episode. Really thought-provoking in a way, and again, there's a massive misperception that you sort of say to people, "Oh, we've got a cam girl on," so oh right, okay, but completely different to what sort of they would have expected, and a little bit more from what I sort of would have hoped in terms of sort of just getting to know sort of a bit more of the ins and outs of the industry, how you got involved and all of that sort of stuff. So thoroughly enjoyed your company for the last hour and a little bit. So again, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Indeed. Dave?
Same for me. It's been great having you on, just learning a bit about what goes on, the weird and wonderful stuff. And I think you're right, the misconceptions that are out there, and you going on podcasts like this, I don't know if it's something you do more of, but I think it's great that you do put yourself out in those positions, particularly when you don't like being put on the spot and you don't like being behind the camera in these situations. But I think it's great, so thanks.
Absolutely. I'd echo everything these two guys have said. Like I say, thank you very much for coming on this episode and sharing your story with us. I think anything that anybody can take away from this would be an absolute bonus, because it's been, I'm not going to, everybody has prejudices, we all have them ourselves, and it's very easy to judge people who are prejudiced. But think about yourself, think about how you view the world, think about how you've approached this episode and how you've listened to it, if you're listening to this out there. and just hopefully you'll take away that things in life aren't always so black and white. And I know Gaz is expecting me to finish on a Morrissey quote, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say thank you and good night, and thanks for listening.